This is a very special episode of Mixer today because we are walking through the middle of Brooklyn, and we're with Conrad Taylor, a DJ based in New York, and he's kindly came along to a stranger's request to.
I literally have no idea who this person is.
He's here for a random chat in the street, and yeah, we're hopefully going to learn a little bit about Conrad, his career, his story, and also just maybe a bit about the area and everything else in between. So yeah, that I think.
Do you want me to look at you or the camera?
I mean, I think you can wherever's comfortable.
Wherever's
We can.
I'll switch it up.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think a bit of the camera's cool as well.
The camera's cool?
Yeah, bit of both.
A little bit of both. Okay.
That works. So yeah, man. So you're based in Brooklyn.
Yes, I'm based in Brooklyn. I'm born and raised here in New York City. So for those watching that don't know, New York City is comprised of 5 what are called boroughs. So there's Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, and the Bronx.
Yeah.
I'm from Manhattan, and born and raised in Manhattan, I always said, I'm never moving to Brooklyn. But I've lived in Brooklyn now for a few years, and I must say, I do love it very much.
Yeah.
It is definitely the place to be right now.
So it's got quite a good atmosphere then.
Great atmosphere. All the best places to dance and rave are definitely in Brooklyn.
Awesome.
It's also, while still very expensive, much cheaper than living in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Both in terms of the rent that you pay,
Sure.
the food that you buy, and it's just wonderful to be here.
What building are we walking past right now?
This is the Brooklyn Public Library.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Another really historic building here in Brooklyn.
Yeah, for sure.
We're approaching Grand Army Plaza. This is the Grand Army Plaza Arch.
Oh yeah.
Kind of maybe reminds you of like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris or something like that.
Yeah.
We got that stuff too.
Yeah, you got something, yeah, for sure.
The difference is that our structures are like, 200 years old, while the ones in Europe that you guys have are, 1,000 years old or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. And the thing is as well, we were just saying how, I'll just pause here.
This is very New York, by the way. This is ambulances every few minutes. That's why we're going into the park.
Exactly. I think that's a smart move. That's definitely a smart move. And the funny thing was, we were saying about how essentially this is almost like a London day,
Yeah.
We're here having a conversation in New York, but it feels like we're essentially in the UK. Have you ever been to the UK then? Have you ever?
I have been once, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I definitely want to come back to the UK soon.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I've had like a lot of people reach out.
Yeah.
Specifically about, London and Manchester and just like doing some shows there, and coming out and performing. So fingers crossed that is able to happen at some point soon. I am doing a bit of a Europe stint this summer, which I haven't announced yet, but some dates are coming. So I hope that I'm going to be able to fit the UK into that.
Yeah.
But we'll see if that's actually able to happen.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So you've got a lot going on then, but we can get to that shortly. But I thought it would be really cool to understand a little bit more about your story as well. We're getting to grips with the directions here. Yeah. So what is your story then? Obviously, you're here right now, but what has led you to this point?
Yeah. So music has been one of the 2 loves of my life.
Yeah.
The other is kind of interesting for a DJ and music producer. The other is politics and government.
Yeah.
Probably maybe not the thing you were expecting to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
But my career actually started in politics and government. I was once the youngest elected official in the country.
Wow.
Here in the US.
Wow. That was a cool start to have, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah. And when I was 18, I ran for city council, was elected. I beat the incumbent Republican council president at the time.
Yeah.
And spent 4 years as a council person.
Yeah.
Then worked in like campaigns for presidential candidates, and kind of led a whole career But when I was a kid, kind of like my passion, the way that I expressed my emotions and really went through life was through music. You know, I'm a classically trained pianist. I did musical theater. It's kind of what made me happy.
Yeah.
And then I reached this point when I was 25.
Yeah.
Which is 3 years ago. I'm 28 now.
Yeah, got you.
Where I had, you know, kind of had this career already since I was a teenager in politics and government. And as incredible and fulfilling and special as that was, I felt this hole because the other love of my life, music, had been so thrown to the wayside. You know, I'd get home from city council meetings and I'd like jump into Ableton and just fuck around because I just missed it so much.
Yeah.
So I did something that was very, very scary for me at the time, which was release my first song.
Yeah.
And through that, I, you know, got my first gig as a DJ here in the, you know, local New York City scene, and got another and got another, and people started to, you know, like that song and say, oh, you should make more. So I made another one. And very quickly, I realized that making people dance and sharing these moments with others on the dance floor and making people feel different emotions through the music that I make, and it's just what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what brings me to today, which is that I have kind of left everything else behind, for better or for worse. Is that I am going all into music, and you know, I'm lucky to be able to be making an actual living off this now, doing it full time, and hopefully, you know, if you're watching this, you'll be one of the first of many people to get to know me.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's a really interesting point you touched on. There's a couple of interesting points you touched on. One of them was being able to be self-sufficient off of what you do. I think that's a massive achievement. And something I wanted to ask you maybe a little bit more about was that you went from this career in the public eye, but from a completely different perspective. But do you think that helped you in what you do now in terms of how you build an audience and how you engage with people in the wider community?
That's a great question. And the answer is absolutely. Having like that background as, you know, an elected official, as someone who has had to be very, very public in pretty much every way since I was 18 years old, has prepared me uniquely for trying to make it as a music artist, because I'm able to handle criticism in a way that is unique. That my artist project is, you know, interesting in that I am very content forward. You know, I have no problem making videos, not just to support my music, but to get to know my audience and for them to get to know me. You know, content that sometimes may be also a little bit cringe or funny. And I think a lot of artists are reticent to make that kind of content because it is scary to put yourself out specifically that way. But I've kind of been doing that since I was a kid, essentially. In politics, so that was a great preparation. The other way is that I used to give like really big fucking speeches in front of thousands of people. Like I was a surrogate for Senator Bernie Sanders when he was running for president.
Nice.
And I would introduce him, you know, at a rally of like 5,000 people, and that kind of experience has made it has given me a lot of confidence to, you know, as an artist at a really emotional moment during a set, to hop on the mic and take that opportunity to connect with the crowd and kind of bring the performance to a whole new level. I think that being on the mic as a DJ is a skill all on its own, it can be abused. Everybody in dance music, I know that you have been on the dance floor and you've heard a DJ on the mic and you've been like, Jesus fucking Christ. I know that we've all experienced it, and I'm sure that people have thought it during a Conrad Taylor set, but I think I have gotten good at knowing when to use it, and then when I'm using it to really make that moment impactful, you know, not just 3, 2, 1, jump, but by saying something that actually has meaning and authenticity,
Sure,
and helps create the memories that I want everybody to create.
I love that. It's certainly a unique crossover point. I don't think there's anyone I know of that can really have that same story, you know?
I don't know of anybody.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was first trying to like really launch my artist project. Conrad Taylor is my actual name.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know, this whole being in politics thing is like a pretty unique aspect of my story, and you need to be unique to make it in this business.
Yeah.
So I was like toying with the name. Actually never ever told anybody this.
You've got an exclusive.
For real. I was toying with the name like Councilman as my artist name.
Cool.
Because I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, and I was making a lot of like tech house at the time. I still do. And I like to, you know, have like a lot of dark sounds in my tracks. Like, you know, Councilman was like a cool name, I thought. But
yeah, definitely.
I ended up just going with my real name, Conrad Taylor, because the music that I want to make is so just like personal and so me.
Yeah.
And me like going into doing music in this way was like me reclaiming myself almost, because I had worked for years and years, like 17 hours a day, 7 days a week, just working, and I identified my entire existence with work.
Yes.
So I was like, the best way for me to truly do this is just to be fully myself, fully vulnerable. Every song that I create, it's under my true name. Every moment that you experience on the dance floor with me, you know who I am in my heart.
Yep.
And you see it, and I share it with you as much as I possibly can. And that has kind of been the guiding principle of my artist project.
Yeah.
It's like radical self-expression. So just picking my own name seemed like the right choice. And I, despite that unique aspect of my story that we've been talking about, I did want to not have it be the identifying characteristic of who I am as an artist.
Sure. And I suppose you touched on it there about reclaiming your identity. And from a creative sense, it sounds like it. But I suppose from almost quite a direct sense as well, you're reclaiming it because you're almost reshaping who you are in the public image, going from someone who is seen as almost arguably polar opposite, you know?
Yeah.
In that way, in terms of like career, at least anyway. So it's a really interesting point you touched on about reclaiming that. And it's a hard thing as an artist or any creative really is, do I do it under a brand or an alter alias, or do I do it on my own? And it's, I don't know why it's such a challenge, but it
is hard.
It's a really hard thing to pick.
Yeah. It's so interesting, the entire like context of what you just said, because like as artists, the only true relationship that we have, or the only true relationship that our fans have with us at the end of the day, aside from the in-person interactions that we are sometimes lucky to have, is one of perception, right? Like we are only perceived, the truth of who I am, like the truth of who Conrad Taylor is like anybody else, very multifaceted.
Yeah.
I have many different interests and passions and things that I care about and things that motivate me and things that go into this artist project that, you know, you are now aware of if you're watching this. So the politics and government part is just one part of it. The, you know, love for classical music is another part of it. You know, I also love trains. You know, there are lots of different things that go into who I am as a person, but we only have such little time to give people a perception of who we are as artists and as people so that you can connect with us. So these like little branding decisions are so much more important than you might think, because it's just like, how do we fit who we are into just like a name or a logo or anything else that you might see online.
That's it. Yeah, you can't, it's hard. It's hard to sort of label it down to one thing, or, you know, one piece of an identity. Is because, as you said, there's so many facets to especially a creative output, you know.
Yeah.
Because especially in what you're doing as well, you know, you're performing, you're creating, you're communicating. There's a whole variety of things that you're doing. And I suppose then an interesting question might be to ask is that if you look at how you've been in the public eye and in these various aspects of roles, and from counselling to DJing, what has been your hardest lesson that you've had to unlearn?
Whoa. That's the hardest lesson I've had to unlearn. Okay, so a lesson I learned that I then had to unlearn. This is a very good question, so excuse my...
I feel like it's one of these ones that is a little bit harsh to ask live on the spot. And I appreciate that it's...
You're just gonna have to let me think, I guess.
Of course, I'm more than happy to do that.
The first thing that came to mind was use less reverb. I used to use a lot of reverb, and now I use basically none. So that
was a tough lesson to learn.
Unlearn
rather.
Yeah, that was. Cause reverb is fun, man. When you play around with it, you make things sound all, you know, reverby and stuff. But the truth is, it is dangerous. It can make your mixes very muddy, and there are a lot better ways to create that reverby feeling, like using delays or being just very minimal with the reverb and creating multiple track layers.
For sure. And it's hard to let go of artistic practices that you enjoy doing or feel like that is creating a thing that you like. So when you kind of go through those experiences, it's like letting go of something almost.
Totally. Yeah.
No, I get that. No, that's great. And in your career then, have you had people mentor you, or have you very much just been sort of on this journey on your own?
Oh, wow. Definitely both. Like, I have, at the end of the day, you know, you kind of only have yourself in the sense that no one's going to be more invested in you than you.
Yeah.
So, you know, everything that I've done kind of comes from just intense self-discipline, but nothing that I've done would have been possible without the fantastic, incredible support of others, including many, many mentors. You know, like when I ran for city council when I was 18 years old, I would have never have even had the courage to do so if not for a professor that I had in university at the time who was like, this is possible, you should do this. You know, and classmates that said, who were older than me, you know, juniors and seniors in college, I was a freshman at the time, we will help you build this. This is awesome. you know, when now in music, like I have people, you know, my new management team, Eddie and Marco and Jamie, who believe in me, and I send them manic ideas every day, and they deal with me and support me and guide me, and friends, you know, like I have friends that were at the show this weekend at Elsewhere, going insane, that were there, you know, when I had my very first show in 2022 here in New York.
Tell us about that night, this weekend.
Oh, yeah. Geez. Oh, it was crazy. I mean, Elsewhere is a very special venue here in New York City. It's, yeah, it's kind of like, it's probably one of the spots where like I first went dancing, honestly.
Nice.
Specifically in like the rave electronic music scene. So being able to play there now for the third time was such an honor.
Yeah,
but it was my first time in like a headline slot there, and it was just insane. You can watch the full 90-minute set on YouTube. I titled it, I forced 200 people to dance for 90 minutes straight or something.
Nice.
And it's...
You forced them.
I forced them. You'll see. You watch the set. You tell me. It was just so intense and high energy and beautiful, and like there was so much love in the air, and it is everything that I want to give out of a Conrad Taylor set. Like everyone was locked in. Every single person in that room was locked in.
Yeah.
Like it was packed out, but people were dancing, so it didn't really feel packed. It was, but it felt like we were one organism together.
Yeah.
And the energy was just insane. And like, yeah, if you check out that set, that is what a Conrad Taylor set is like. Only getting better from here. Okay. And oh man, yeah, it was a great weekend.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. That sounds great. So would you say then that you're glad that you made this switch in your career?
Oh, absolutely. Geez, yeah, some of the best memories of my life have been, you know, performing and dancing with you all on the dance floor. And I mean, earlier today, I was like working on a new track, and I was just like working on it and getting all emotional, because music is like, it's what allows me to connect with, you know, something post physical, right? Like it pursuing this and finding even the teeny amount of success in it, just the teeniest amount so far.
Yeah.
Hopefully more is coming, but that has been such a gift. So no, I don't regret it at all. Of course, I, you know, love and appreciate my time working in politics and government, but and maybe, who knows, maybe it'll come again. But right now, there is nothing else I would rather be doing.
I mean, it could be appealing to the future generation to know that their local senator or councillor is a international DJ. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it could be a pretty cool thing. Yeah, no, I love that. And in terms of things that you're working on right now, have you got anything exciting that you're working on at the minute?
Absolutely. So much that I can't say, unfortunately. If you're watching from Europe, you will be able to see me there. And it will be announced very, very soon, in the late spring.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I am very confident in saying that I'm currently working on the best music I've ever made in my life. It has been, it has been just, You know what? Like, I don't know if any producers are watching this, but kind of the dream as a producer is to like hear something and then just kind of like make it. I haven't really been able to do that until very recently. It's really hard. I don't know. I think it's really hard to get there, and I mean, have so much more to learn and do. But like, I'm now at the point where I feel like, oh, I have this idea, and I can just go into Ableton or go to my keyboard and make it come to life.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm just so excited to share some of the songs that I'm making now, because I think that they're very, very special, and I'm just excited for you all to hear it.
Awesome, man. No, I can't wait for that. I can't wait. And in terms of, you kind of touched on it there, but you're at a point where you're making the best music of your career. What does success look like to you in this career?
That's a great question, and it's one that I grapple with, because it's really tough as an artist not to always want more. Like, I personally have trouble with celebrating the wins, or you know, not that I'm not grateful. Like, I try and, you know, put gratitude front and center in all the things that I do, but, you know, I remember like last week, I've been grappling with this.
Yeah.
Last week I had this just dream moment happen where one of my tracks, titled "What I See in Me," premiered at the end of an episode of a really big television show on Hulu. I don't know if you guys have Hulu in the UK, but it's kind of like a Netflix.
Nice.
And the song was really beautifully and prominently featured. It like has since then been getting like tons of Shazams, and streams have shot up, and just like seeing that moment on my TV screen, and also sharing it with my friends, like, to have that moment happen is a dream come true for any producer. And in the moment, of course, I was ecstatic and proud and excited and all the things that you might expect. But right after that, I was just like, what's next? What, like, how can I take this moment and not waste it, right? How can I take this moment and grow from it? How can I do this again, but better? Because now I'm looking back on that track and I'm saying, oh, there's all these things that I just don't like about it, and I could do this better and that better, and then my next thought was like being angry at myself, because I'm like, dude, this is not the right reaction to all this wonderful stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So something that I'm actively working on is not doing what I just described.
Is that something you've grappled with a lot? Self-criticism?
Yeah, you know, I think I've always been the type to, you know, demand the best of myself, for better or for worse, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, getting something on a platform like Hulu is a really cool experience, not only just because of the fact that you can see it, but it almost makes your creativity a little bit more tangible as well, because you're not only listening to it just on a phone, it's part of another creative output. And I can only imagine how rewarding that must have felt after all that hard work.
Totally rewarding. And I mean, it's a dream as a producer to have that experience, you know, where, like, I remember making that song in my bedroom and being like, I can't get these synths right. You know, like, yeah, like thinking about making that song to then it being validated in that way, where it's, you know, we were paid to like freaking just for them to put in the show, I was like, you can have it for free, you know?
Yeah.
I actually, no. Well, well, yeah, it was worth it. I would have done it for free. But if you're watching Hulu, I'm lying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was incredible to see that and have that experience. But my internal reaction after that initial gratitude and excitement was not what it should be, you know, like my reaction was, what's next? How can I top this? How can I use this moment to grow further? It was anxiety, actually. It's like, I mean, I'm confident that many artists will identify with this. It's like, even in our successes, we find sorrow. We're back at the Grand Army Plaza.
We are, yeah.
So, yeah, it's something that I'm actively working on, just countering that.
Yeah, I hear that.
Line of thinking, really.
Sure. Is there a way we can walk towards the station not that way? It's fine if we have to, but I wondered if, or is it?
Not really. We'd have to go into the botanical garden, actually, I think. Sure. And I don't think we can.
No, that's cool. No worries.
Sorry. Is it bad with the car?
No, it was more just out of paranoia. I think it will be fine. Okay. It should be fine. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it should be good. But yeah, no, I mean, this is quite a cool spot, to be fair. It's like
right?
Yeah, it's got a lot going on.
Yeah, this is you know, a very residential part of Brooklyn, despite all this commotion going on here.
Yeah.
You've got right over there is Park Slope. This is a much wealthier neighborhood over there.
Yeah.
Lots of families with young children.
Yeah.
Over here you've got Prospect Heights, and then behind that is Crown Heights, where I live.
Got you.
And then this way you've got Prospect Lefferts Gardens into Flatbush, which is a really historic Caribbean community with incredible food.
Nice.
So if you ever visit New York, get out of Manhattan. Do your 3 days looking at the Empire State Building or Times Square or whatever. You know, it's cool. It's like you've seen in every movie. The real culture in New York is in Brooklyn. And if you're looking to go dancing, go to Bushwick. That's where the best raves are.
Yeah. No, that sounds awesome. We should definitely definitely get to one of them for sure. I haven't managed to go.
I wish you came this weekend,
man. I know. It would have been great.
It would have been perfect. It would have been such a good precursor to this.
I know, right? I know. You're so right, man. I think it's definitely something that I need to do next time I'm here. So
absolutely.
So it will happen one day, and vice versa. If you're ever in the UK, you know, you have to come and let me know, and we can do something for sure.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose, George, just sort of like coming towards the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, we've discussed how you started off. We've discussed where you're at, what you're doing, what you're working on, recent successes, including the Hulu win, which is an amazing win and achievement in your career. What advice would you have for your younger self?
Like my younger self just getting into music, or
anything at all. I mean, if you think music is the more appropriate line of where that would come from, then sure. Or just your career or your life.
Yeah, I would tell my younger self that you know, following your heart is always the right move. You know, doing the career change that we discussed was a tough decision because I was abandoning essentially a lot of success that I had already achieved, and also a line of work that I really enjoyed despite feeling burnt out.
Yeah.
Kind of in hopes of a pipe dream. I mean, making it as an artist is, I mean, it's just one of the harder things you can do. Like,
yeah, no, definitely.
The odds are not in your favor. And even if you're extremely talented, which, you know, I consider myself sometimes, depends on the day.
Yeah.
It's kind of a horrible decision based on statistics.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Geez, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Every up and down that I've had doing this, like, I would tell my younger self to just continue to be true to who you are, because it is the only reasonable way to live your life.
Oh yeah.
That's what I would tell everybody who's watching this too.
Yeah, I love that. I think prioritizing your happiness is great. And you make a good point about how, obviously, when it pays off, it's probably the best feeling in the world, but when it doesn't, it's soul destroying. So I do get that. And lastly, what would be your dream back-to-back?
Ooh.
And where would it be?
And I have so many. I would say the first one that just came to mind would be like the most intense back-to-back in history with me and I Hate Models.
Oh.
In a massive, dark warehouse in the outskirts of Berlin.
I love that.
That is what I'm visualizing right now. I feel like with I Hate Models and me, it would not be a back-to-back. It would be like a versus.
Oh.
Like, it would be like, who can bring the most demonic energy to the rave. That'd be pretty sick. In fact, I do have a vision of doing that kind of back-to-back with someone who can, like, you know, match my energy, and it would be a lot of fun.
I love that. I love that. That sounds super exciting. And I can totally visualize that. I think I Hate Models is a great choice for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. But no, honestly, Conrad, I have enjoyed our conversation a lot.
So have I.
I've really greatly appreciated your willingness to go so in depth into your experiences and being so open with your experiences, and just also giving the insight to everyone else that's listening is also really, really cool. And I think that your switching career took a huge set of balls to pull off, and not a lot of people would do that, so you should be super proud of that. And
thanks, man.
No, not at all. I mean it. And I think with that attitude and with that mindset, that back-to-back is more than a reality. So yeah, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching too.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.